Welcome to day 28 of my 30-day engagement series. My name is Shawn Aaron, he, him, his. And today's question is, do you feel safe to date or build intimacy as a trans man of color? Ooh, y'all nosy. Why you ask me this question? But I'm gonna answer it. Why? Because this is a Black Trans Reflection series and I'm about vulnerability and about honesty and truth. So, do I feel safe to date or build intimacy as a trans man of color? Yes, I do. This has been a long journey for me to get to this point, right? It's about me. So I've talked about this before within these days of in this reflection series of going through all the letters, the LGBTQ, right? And each phase of my life has been an adjustment. I will say being a lesbian when I first came out, when I came out the last time when I was 18, was an adjustment, right? Not for me on other people's bodies, but building intimacy for other people with me, being comfortable with who I was, my body, and all of that, right? But as a Black trans man, it definitely was a shift, right? Because everything changed. Once I started to medically transition everything from your body odor to your skin texture to bottom growth to just hair, everything, your pheromones, everything changes. So the first thing to build in intimacy was I needed to build intimacy with myself. So listen, I had to really get and learn myself, even from finding the right deodorant. I have used almost every brand of deodorant there is that I had to figure out what fit my body. When I was masculine of center woman before transitioning, I could use like those artesian soaps. I liked certain like lotions and certain scents, but after transitioning, that didn't work for me. So I had to go on this deep, long, explorative journey of learning my body again and what works for me. I've bought and used and thrown away so many products. I'm sorry to Mother Earth that I have been throwing away products into the world to be in some landfill. I apologize for that. But I needed to find what worked for my body. I can't be walking around here. Now, this is for myself. Some people like a little must or whatever. That's a turn on to some folks within intimacy. For me, it's not. So first I had to learn to be intimate with myself. So it's about, and I don't even really talk about this much, right? But I had to find the right deodorant. That was horrible of like smelling and like, oh God, like who is this person? Who is this man? Oh, the man is me. I had to really learn that. And so once I got my body together, once I became, learning my own self that like, yo, Shawn, now you got hair on your back, right? And so learning all these things, some people don't like hairy people, right? It's like really finding a person and building intimacy with somebody that is comfortable with everything about you. For one, being Black. For two, being trans identified. For three, with or without, post-op, pre-op, right? And so, all of these different things. So when you think about pre-op, I'm gonna talk about top surgery. I won't talk about anything below that, but pre-op would be someone who still has breast. Post-op will be someone who had mastectomy and had their breasts removed and reshaped to have a more male physique in the chest area. Now, different folks have different variations of that, right? Nipples or no nipples, right? But that's besides the point. So first, I had to learn myself, and even after like me having top surgery in 2013, I had to readjust myself to not having breasts. So that was even an adjustment, right? I had to become more intimate with myself in that way of like, who am I? Like testosterone is one hell of a drug, right? It will definitely shift you a whole 180, if not 360, right? And so learning my body odor, learning what deodorant I could use, learning what lotion I could use, learning what soaps work for me, right? Learning about if I wanted to keep hair on parts of my body or if I didn't want to keep hair on parts of my body. Learning about shaving my head, right? Because now I want to get into a phase where I'm like, okay, I want to rock a bald head. So, like, all of these things I had to learn about myself first. And I encourage folks, trans identified or not, the first step to intimacy is learning yourself. What do you like, right? For yourself. And I'm not talking about anything sexual. I'm talking about really getting to learn your body and what your body can do, and making sure everything is right tight, right? So whatever that means for you. So I really had to build that intimacy with me and my body first, right? That was the first thing. And then after that, now I can build intimacy with other people because I know what I want and I can express to folks what I want and who I am and how I walk into the room, right? And so if I'm at a passing stage in my transition. So if I walk into the room, I'm cis assumed, right? And so I really date love to date queer folks, openly queer folks, and so to build intimacy for me is not difficult. And once I learned myself, at first it was difficult because I didn't feel confident. I didn't feel secure in myself. I didn't know how to explain myself to other folks. I didn't know to say what I liked, and I'm talking about in the sexual way too. Now I'm talking about in the sexual way, what I like or I didn't like. I had to really like experiment with things and learn about like, yo, this is what intimacy means for me. So today, in this at this recording, I can say that I feel safe to date and build intimacy as a trans man of color. But I will say it takes a little bit extra conversation. It takes a little bit more patience, and it takes giving and or extending grace within limits to people, right? And being open and honest about who I am and my identity. I'm here with you, so I'm honest about that here, right? But also being honest in my personal relationships when I meet someone that I may be interested in or they're interested in me or whatever. One of the first conversations I'm asking questions about how they feel about trans folks, how they feel about queer folks, if they are not openly queer, right? And so, hey, this is I'm trans identified. I'm a man, black man with trans experience. How does that land with you? And if somebody say I can't do that, well, we can't talk to one another. Or what is that? Depends on how they say what is that. I may say, I don't feel like teaching today, not today. Or if they say, no, I have not, but I'm curious on how I can get to know you better, then I might say, okay, winner, winner, right? But I think the first step as a black trans man to building intimacy and dating is to first become comfortable with yourself. And once you become comfortable with yourself and how you're navigating yourself into spaces, you tend to attract people who are confident in themselves as well, right? And it kind of gives a certain type of esteem. It holds a different type of esteem if you see somebody across the room and you're like, oh, they real confident, right? It's like, but yo, you because I know myself, right? And I've had those conversations with people that are like, you real confident. I'm like, yeah, because I know myself. And so I think that's very, very important. And so to answer this question for today, do you feel safe? Yes, I feel safe to date and build intimacy as a trans man of color? And my answer to that question, for whoever asked me that question, you nosy, but the answer to that is yes. So let's be real in the comments, y'all. What's dating like for you? How are you building intimacy in healthy ways? Are you around here lying to folks and telling folks you ain't trans identified? And that's okay, right? Because you don't have to be open. Everybody's not open. Some people are stealth. I will say that. So I'm a backtrack on that. But what I mean by that is, are you doing it in a way? If you're doing it in a way, and this question is about being safe. So do you feel safe to do it in that way? And if so, then continue. But doing and building intimacy in a safe and healthy way that's reciprocal is amazing. And so let me know, right? What's dating like for you? How are you navigating these spaces as a trans man of color? I would love to hear from you. So, once again, y'all, this is day 28. We only got 2 more days left, right? Tomorrow and the day after, that's it. I appreciate you for coming here and rocking with me day after day. Yo, that takes some love for one that you hear, like, yo, I want to hear what Shawn got to say tomorrow. It takes dedication, but it also takes respect that you respect my vulnerability and my honesty and my transparency. Because I always say visibility equals possibility. And I'm here being visible as a black trans man to show other folks who are watching what is possible. So, once again, my name is Shawn Aaron, he, him, his. 2 more days, y'all. See you tomorrow. Take care.